Here it is Monday, best day of the doggone week. You better believe it. That's John King over there giving me the raspberry. But on the phone right now is Congressman Ryan Zinke. We have a few precious moments of the congressman's time, so we're going to jump right in. First of all, Ryan, thanks for being on with us today.
Great to be with you. I tell you, any day in Montana is a better day than Washington, D.C. And when Washington, D.C. starts getting normal, then it's time to go back to Montana.
Well, there's no expectation they'll ever be normal. From what I've been able to see, it's been a little backwards for a while.
It's fixable. America's fixable, but there's a couple of hills we're going to have to climb.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we wanted to talk to you about, one of the things you've got to work on in the House is the budget. So tell us how the GOP budget's going and what you expect this session.
Well, I can tell you what Obama's budget was. The president had $3 trillion more taxes and never balanced. And so you can't ignore an $18 trillion plus debt. You can't ignore it. So this budget at least balances it within 10 years. You know, we didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. But I think 10 years is a reasonable expectation to balance the budget. So it provides, money for security, for the military. So some of the guys in the House Armed Services weren't very happy, but I think we went through that. There's some things I don't like about it. I don't like that we did erase the death tax because for Montanans, for ranchers, farmers that want to make sure that they have their family holdings in perpetuity and can pass them down to their heirs. That's a problem. But overall, the good part about the budget is it does balance a little less than 10 years, and it doesn't raise taxes. So those are two good things.
One of the things I've noticed popping up in the press, I noticed on Breitbart the other week, you've been throwing some punches at Tester. How's that relationship going at this point?
Well, the media likes to hype the relationship between myself and John Tester. I'm busy looking at Congress. Believe me, there's enough to fix in the House side that I don't have to look over and start demanding that the Senate fixes their side.
All right.
But we have coffee every morning or every week at Wednesday 8:15. I walk over to the Senate side. Senators Tester and Daines are always there. But, I try to make sure that I put the interest of Montana first before politics, and I ask the good senator to do the same.
Speaking of politics, one of the things that the Congress got chided for was involvement with Bibi Netanyahu coming and speaking. And then recently, the UN, Josh Earnest, on behalf of the State Department and the president, basically said that they were going to reevaluate their approach to Israel with the UN. I wanted to get your take on that.
Well, first of all, Congress is an equal arm of government. Congress certainly had the right to invite the Prime Minister. I was there during his speech, and I thought his speech was brilliant. I think he was kind in areas he didn't have to be. Very complimentary to the Obama administration for some of the things they've done. I think he was firm in the areas he had to be. He outlined a plan, and he outlined a consequence of what would happen if Iran had a legal path for a nuclear weapon. And finally, he said that Israel, if necessary, will stand alone, and that was a sobering, description, a sobering statement. But Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Israel is our ally, and the relationship between this president and the Prime Minister clearly is not good. And I agree with Senator McCain. It's time to get over the tantrum and start looking at the problem about ISIS and making sure that the only democracy in the Middle East is not wiped off the face of the earth by a nuclear-armed Iran.
Now, Ryan, I had heard, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because the things I hear usually are on our radio program or on a radio station, not necessarily correct, but you're right there in Congress. So I had heard that when the president said he was going to be ramping up air attacks on ISIS, I was expecting maybe 50, 60 sorties a day, something like that. But I guess I had heard it's like 8. Is that right?
Well, here's, and I'll take the words from General Conway, retired 4-star Marine, Commandant of the Marine Corps, 1 MEF commander, and I fought with him in Fallujah. Air operations alone, there's not a snowball's chance in hell they're going to be effective. And what we're seeing is an expansion of ISIS into Africa. Iran, ironically enough, is embedding their troops into the Badr militia. One day they're wearing Republican Guard uniforms. The next day they're fighting alongside the Shia to put pressure on ISIS and taking ground. Meanwhile, we're not supporting the Kurds in a meaningful way. We are, you can't gain intelligence unless you're there on the ground, and so you can't run air operations effectively unless you target. And my position has always been, if you are going to be successful in the stated mission, which is to degrade and destroy ISIS, it will take U.S. troops embedded with the Kurds and our Sunni allies. It's a war as much within Islam as it is a war between East and West. But you can't just embed a sprinkling of them, because what happens if one of our guys gets captured? They're going to be put in a cage and burned alive. So the force package, to put it in, has to be sufficient enough to defend yourself. Then you have to have medevac, because one of our guys gets injured, he better be going out on a U.S. medevac quickly to a field hospital. Then you're going to need a quick reaction force in case our guys gets pinned down, because we don't want another Somalia or Benghazi. So the footprint that's required if we're going to win, and I'm a big advocate of if we're going to fight to win, and if we're going to fight to win, then give the troops what they need in order to be to be effective. That's the right equipment, right training, right rules of engagement, and make sure you have a plan that is conducive to winning. This administration has no plan. They don't have a plan for Syria. They don't have a plan for defeating ISIS. And it seems that the only plan they have is to have a legal pathway for Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Now, Ryan, let me just jump in here for a second. Do you think, as obviously you've had lots of military experience, do you think it is possible for the Middle East itself to handle the problem of ISIS? Because it is basically ISIS against the world right now. Do you believe that that problem can be solved within that part of the world without us or some other combined force coming in to help?
No. Again, it's a war within Islam. The terrorist organizations, and I'll say Islamic terrorist organizations, call it what it is, call balls and strikes, versus the mainstream Islam. But it's not going to happen unless U.S. leads and shows resolve. I mean, the whole world looks at the U.S. as leadership. And when this president decides not to lead, not to show commitment, not to show resolve, then the Sunni tribes get it. The signal to the Kurds is very clear. U.S. isn't going to be an ally when we're needed. So that has ramifications. Do I think we need a ground force that's the size of Gulf One, Gulf Two? No. But we're going to have to show some commitment. I mean, look who's committing. It's Jordan. And now you have Iran committing ground force commanders, Republican Guard generals to the fight on the ground in Iraq. And they're doing it because they're showing resolve. And what does it mean? So this is fixable, but we should have took action when ISIS was in Syria. We should have took action when they jumped across the border. We should have took action when they had the Mosul Dam. We should have took action when they took Mosul. All these things that this administration refuses to act on has greater consequences, because then when you have to act with greater force, greater resources, and greater risk to our troops.
Now, allow me to ask this question. Do you believe that if the United States committed ground troops and they were able to work in concert, I know that sounds really weird, in concert with forces from Iran, do you think that relationship of fighting together shoulder to shoulder might help the American stance working with Iran in other matters?
Well, Iran is not our friend.
Right.
And Iran, under this Khomeini regime, will never be our friend. You have ISIS, which is Sunni. You have Iran, which is Shia. Both of them want the same goal. They want to destroy the West and in particular want to destroy America. So I'll take Benjamin Netanyahu's quote: "Is your enemy of your enemy is not your friend." So you look at that, and Iran will never have a relationship that I trust under this regime.
Okay.
And that's why having a legal pathway to have a nuclear arm is a threat not only to Israel but to us. I mean, if you're willing to put terrorists on a plane and drive them into our towers and kill 3,000 innocent civilians, what makes this administration think for a moment that given a nuclear weapon, they wouldn't bring it and ignite it on our home soil, either New York or Washington or L.A. They're probably not going to target Missoula, but they're certainly going to target one of our larger cities.
Speaking of
this is fixable, but under this administration, Congress is going to have to rise and make sure, number one, that Iran does not have a path to nuclear weapons.
All right, go ahead, John.
Yeah, speaking of home soil, I wanted to change gears just a little bit. Last Thursday, you were out with members of the Crow tribe, and I wanted you to explain to our audience a little bit about the importance of expanding the Indian coal tax to make it permanent.
Well, if you want to see bureaucracy, look at the Bureau of Indian Affairs and what's, quote, a sovereign nation, within a sovereign nation, the boundaries of the reservation. Their bureaucracy that they have to deal with every day is about 3 times what it is in some cases on non-Indian reservation land. And the process in coal is about 10 steps on non, is about 22 steps on a reservation or sovereign nation soil. So making the permanency of the coal tax credit, what that does is it evens the playing field and allows the Crows and the Northern Cheyenne, if they choose to develop their coal reserves, to negotiate longer-term contracts on a business model that works. So one is you have to have a market for coal, and under treaty obligations which were signed, is that the United States government shall not hinder, which we are in many cases with multiple EISs and talking about coal dust and other nonsense. Is that I'm in support, as I said I was during the campaign, and as a lone congressman, I represent everyone in the state of Montana, and this is a question in my judgment of economic freedom and the ability for the Crow Nation to develop the resources in the best interest of the people of the Crows.
Hey, Ryan, I know we're rapidly running out of time, but I only get one quick call in. Tyler, you're on with Ryan Zinke. Quickly, go ahead.
Hi.
Good morning, Tyler.
Hey, Mr. Zinke. My question to you is, fighting with Iran, I'm a veteran, and we all know that you are. I have a very big problem with us sending U.S. troops to Iraq if Iran is supporting that fight. What do you have to say about that?
Thanks.
Well, I agree. Iran will never be our friend, and in many ways, because Iran is committed, and we're not. Then I think that the consequence, number one, you're going to have a larger rift between the Sunnis, the Kurds, and the Shia. The previous government, the Milwaukee government, was notoriously corrupt, inept, and it disenfranchised the Sunnis. And I don't trust the Iranian government, further than I can throw, a freight train. And so, I'm concerned. There's been multiple times when we've had the opportunity to engage, and that engagement would have resulted in an effect on the ground. I don't want to see our troops, fight alongside the Iranians, because I think it's overall counterproductive.
Sure.
How far can a Navy SEAL throw a freight train? I don't even know.
Well, not very far, I can tell you. But it is fixable. I think we need a plan. This administration has no plan. They don't have a plan for Syria. And remember where ISIS came from, Syria. So we watched, ISIS evolve from Syria. I think we left too soon out of Iraq because it formed a vacuum of power. And it was, to the degree, the government of Iraq's fault as well for disenfranchising the Sunnis and the Kurds, and the government being over the top, Shia centric, and didn't allow a voice for the Sunnis. So the Molokai government, was at fault. I think we were at fault for leaving under any condition on a timeline, and there was a loss of blood, including a lot of my friends, and I am concerned that if we engage troops, we engage troops on a plan that leads to victory.
All right. Hey, Ryan, I know we went already over our time. We appreciate your time. We look forward to visiting with you again.
My pleasure.
All right.
And,
thanks a lot.
God bless the great state of Montana.
Thanks, Ryan. Bye-bye. That's Congressman Ryan Zinke. We're way overdue for a break, so we'll take a little bit of a longish one. We're combining two here. We'll be back just as quickly as we can with more of Talkback. All right, we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number, and so we got kind of a funky little deal going on with the extended visit with Congressman Zinke in just a short time before the top of the hour, and then we have another guest coming in at 9, right?
Yeah, for a brief conversation about Facebook and art.
But what was interesting on Friday is the opportunity to go to the press conference with Dr. Alex Apostle. And of course, we found out, naturally, the reason why that he couldn't be with us last Thursday, was because he was preparing to give his resignation the next day as the superintendent of School District 1 and going to a little town in Washington called Shelton, right, where he is going to be taking a similar position. So anyway, during the press conference, it was so strange. The way the press conference was set up, we had a whole line of TV cameras on one side of the room, okay? And then there was a line of desks that were empty, and then a great big space, and then another line of desks, and sitting on the other side in that row of desks was Dr. Apostle, all alone. And so here are all these media people, with the cameras going, and here's Dr. Apostle sitting. It just looked like, let's break out the rubber hoses and bright lights here, So after the questions, well, why are you really leaving? And da-da-da-da, and how much are you going to make? And all this kind of stuff. And finally there was a lull, and I said, look, on behalf of the media, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Apostle for being so accessible, because he was, especially on our show, he was willing to come on our program and answer tough questions, and he manned up and answered them the best he could, didn't shy away, didn't any of that stuff. So here is his response that was part of the press conference on Friday.
The Shelton Public Schools recognized your radio show and the fact that I'm a regular on it. They loved that. They appreciated it and asked me if I would be willing to do that in Shelton, and I said absolutely, and so on it goes.
Pretty cool.
There you go. So Talkback helped get Alex Apostle to leave Missoula? Is that what that means?
Let's just say Talkback was one of the things that convinced them that this was the right guy for the job, because he's reaching out to the media, is accessible, all that good stuff. So
I think it does bode well for him. And any public official that's willing to do that
absolutely
deserves some applause.
Yeah, absolutely, because there are some that are not and some that are. And the ones that are, obviously we like them because they're on our show. So there you go. So best of luck to Dr. Apostle. He's going to stay with us all the way till June, and then he will be leaving probably maybe 2 weeks before that to head out to Shelton, Washington.
And for the ones that aren't on our show, as I learned from Cinderella last Friday with 7-year-olds,
yes,
have courage and be kind. That's all the magic you need, politicians.
That's right. Have courage and be kind. I like that. And have an 18-inch waist.
They did not CG Cinderella's waist, from what I could tell.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to take a break and come back after the top of the hour. Stay with it. Well, wow, I feel like it's old home week here at Talkback this morning, because some folks that I've known for many, many years, actually, when Janelle was first born, I remember. So Dave and Kathy Traver and their lovely daughter, Janelle. Janelle and Kathy are here with us in studio. Now, Janelle, you got the microphone. So the reason you are here is to talk about the fact, now, I don't want you to be embarrassed. Janelle is an amazingly gifted artist. not only does she play the harp and compose and arrange her own pieces, which you've done for many years now, but you're also an amazingly gifted artist. You brought some stuff with us. We'll hold the microphone up to it and try to get so people can see it. I'm just kidding. So tell me, you have entered a competition where there's a substantial scholarship at stake, right? Tell us about that.
Well, this competition is called the Create a Greeting Card Scholarship Contest, and it's by the Gallery Collection, which is a greeting card developer. So basically what you do is you design a Christmas card or a card for any greeting card of the season, and you send it in to them, and the judges determine who will be in the preliminary voting rounds, and I was in round 10. And we were voted on publicly at that time, and we just barely didn't make the top 10. But the judges decided to use their only save for that round to put me through to the finalist round.
Wow! Congratulations. That's awesome.
So basically, the judges have a way to override everybody. They have like the Obama executive action. They basically preempted the legislature on this one and put you to the front.
Yes.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's in one instance we go for that. So tell us a little bit about your piece. I know we've got a photo of it on our website right now. So tell us how you came up with the idea and just paint a word picture for us of what this looks like.
Well,
that's okay.
Sorry. My
problem.
entry is a picture of 3 birds sitting on a holly branch, 2 red cardinals, and 1 black-capped chickadee. And it is snowing. The background is very dark, and they do really pop off in the scene. And I designed it as a Christmas card. And the idea just kind of came to me. I didn't really have any special inspiration. And at first I felt it might be a bit cliche, but I looked at the other Christmas cards we had, and the first one I looked at had both cardinals and a chickadee on it. So
wow, okay.
I figured, why not, and make it as beautiful as I possibly can.
I noticed a lot of people did Christmas cards, but you could choose any season.
Yes.
So why not Boxing Day? I mean, why did you settle on Christmas?
Well, I like Christmas a lot, and I feel like it's more festive.
Well, hold on. And there are, statistically speaking, there are more Christmas cards sent every year than any other holiday. So
yes.
Obviously you want to take advantage of the greatest amount of participation. Now, tell me about this competition and what it's going to take for you to win. Is it like a $10,000 scholarship?
Yes, the scholarship is for $10,000, and the winner gets $1,000 for their school that they currently go to, which in my case would be Valley Christian School here in Missoula.
Now, let me ask you this. Are there any other Montana kids in the finalist round?
I don't believe so. If there were, we may have heard about it.
Well, here's what we're going to do then, because what we're going to do is we're going to send this to all of our other stations, our other Town Square Media stations in Billings and Bozeman and Shelby and whatever, and say, hey, this is a Montana kid. Let's get on board and help you. Would that be okay?
Yes.
We have your
thank
permission
you
to do
very
that?
much.
Okay. I kind of figured we would. All right. So now, how do we vote? What do we have to do?
All right. To vote, you would go onto the Valley Christian School Facebook page if you have Facebook. So log on and search Valley Christian School in Missoula.
Or we can go to
even easier. Just go to our Facebook page. I've got the link right there.
Right.
Yes.
And then scroll down to the picture. She's holding the picture of the Cardinals on the front, so you know which one it is on our Facebook page. And then you can just go to find it in the voting on the link that I provided there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
There you go. So how do you know how many votes you have to get to win, or is it just the one with the most at the end?
For this round, the top 5 vote getters will move on to the absolute last round, and plus 5 more chosen by the judges themselves. And that round won't have any voting to it. It will just be the judges' final decision, and they'll choose one to receive the scholarship and the $1,000. And I should mention that when you go on to vote, it will want you to click continue. You'll be on WooBox. That's the voting page. And then you'll be in and you'll look at the entries. And ours is towards the top 10 right now, so it will be very easy to find. And when you find it, just click on the picture, and that will pull it up large, and you'll be able to see every detail, which is very cool. And then the voting button will be easy to see. And when you click on it, The voting count should go up 1, and the little button should turn green, but it may
Okay,
want you to click
just-
a few times.
Just so everyone knows, you're not only in the top 10 right now. Right now, she is 1, 2, 3, 4. She's top 7.
Wow.
She's edging out a really boring picture. Sorry, whoever drew this, which is like pencil and paper. So I'm sure the mom out there is really upset at me, but she probably won't hear this at all.
No, she's not
She's
here.
not. She's
Not
not
from
listening.
Montana.
So
And we don't care anyway.
Yeah, you're not from Montana. You're from Towelly High School, somewhere else.
Yeah.
So what you should do is
Is that good? Okay.
Basically, so there's the top winner right now is a very beautiful fire engine, kind of an old timey fire engine. Who wants to think about fire trucks on Christmas Day? No one. Cardinals, way better. So anyway, they're at 1,200 votes, and the Cardinals are at 537 right now.
All right, so we need to get now. Can we just vote once, or can we? It's like Chicago. Can we vote early and often?
You can vote every day.
Can my dead relatives vote? Is that, can we? Is it mandatory voting? Can we get that going? Just like real world.
Yeah, the president wants to do that. So.
Like a decree or something.
All right, so we're about done with this segment. So if folks want to get more information about what you're doing and other ways to support you, how can they contact you? Just on your Facebook page or what?
I would search me, Janelle Traver, on Facebook, or you could text 550 BFIT, that's 550 BFIT, for more information about the contest, or just go to the greeting card scholarship on the Gallery Collection website.
Perfect. Well, it's a pleasure, and the work that you've done is amazing. So even if you don't do this, I understand that you have scholarships waiting already for your harp, or how's that working out?
We do have some opportunities elsewhere. This is the biggest one that we've gotten farthest
So
in
this
so
is
far.
this is a scholarship to wherever you want to go.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Can you just give it to your local radio host?
And have you looked seriously at any one particular school?
I have. We're thinking the Academy of Art University in San Francisco.
Wow. All right. Well, congratulations. You're doing Missoula proud and Valley Christian proud. And we hope everybody will go onto our Facebook page and vote a zillion billion times for Janelle. Okay?
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Then thanks for coming in. What? Every day. Okay. Vote every day.
We're getting mom communiques.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break and come right back. We'll be right back. Ow! I love Mondays. Yeah, baby. Even though it's raining, it's Monday and it's raining, and I'm still excited.
I think we learned a valuable lesson for John. Never ask John to adjudicate any kind of a competition between youth or children.
Why is that, John?
Because John's too frank.
You said this one's better than yours. What? What are you talking about?
Billy, this is not up to par.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we're kind of into our open phone segment, and from now until actually 10 o'clock, right? Are we
Yeah.
right? Okay, is
Yeah.
that right? Okay.
Open phone.
So let's get Dave on the line. Dave, good morning. Thanks for holding. You're on Talkback. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. I was hoping the congressman had been on the radio a little longer. I'd like to ask him a couple questions.
Well, we only had 15 minutes with the congressman, so.
Right. Number one, I would like to say that the IRS, Congress was really mad at the IRS and cut their funding big time, and now it's virtually impossible to get an IRS agent on the phone, and it's really sad. And Congress should get over it and give IRS some money to do their job. And number two issue about the budget.
Okay.
Now, the congressman talked about balancing the budget, staying on sequester that limit military spending. Well, a lot of people in Congress, and the president included, want to increase the military spending. But they're stuck on sequester, which limits its spending. Well, so what the House of Representatives, as I understand it, are coming up with is a $90 billion slush fund for what's called OCO program. It's Overseas Contingency Plan. And that budget would be off sequester, would be separate. So I question whether or not they really are balancing the budget.
Okay, well, John's looking that up right now. Now, where did you get that? What source did you have for this?
The OCO?
Yeah.
They ran that last week.
They did, okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's out of the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And, it's going to be a separate a separate issue.
Well, and we all know that there's separate money set aside for national defense. Sequester doesn't hit everything in your national defense fund.
That's true.
Even in the original design, that wasn't designed. Sequester wasn't designed to hit most of national defenses. Anything that's going to be strategic to basically protect the country, it doesn't hit.
But as an overall budget, the military was limited to a 3% or 2% increase, and that $90 billion would blow the budget there. And so I do question that. I agree that money should be spent, but I think they should be a little more honest about it and say the military needs more money.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
thanks.
I agree with you, Dave. I think that the thing is that sequestration is good in this sense that it's forcing all these people to make their pitches as to why their different programs need the money.
Yep, but you shouldn't be locked in on it. There should be some squish area and be
But
honest
see what you're
about it.
saying. You're saying that they shouldn't be locked in on it. But I liked the way before where we were locked in as a people to give them a pay raise every year, despite them not proving that they needed to be there.
Well, I understand that, and I agree that. But like I said, the IRS needs money. It needs to get people back on the phones to talk to the public, and that's just been cut too far.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Appreciate the call. 721-1290 is our number. We have one line open, but Susan is up next. Hi, Susan.
Well, I was not listening to your program because I was listening to the person who I hope will become the next president of the United States.
Were you listening to Ted Cruz?
I was.
Okay.
And
Well,
it
we
was
do have the clip.
completely
We'll play that later.
extemporaneous, and he spoke from the heart and told his story of his immigration, or his parents' immigration to the United States, and his love of God. And if ever there is a time in the history of our nation that we need a president who is godly, it is now. And I hope that your station will play the entire Ted Cruz speech, because there are no notes. He had no notes. He did it completely from his heart.
Are you sure? Now, hold on. Are you sure
I'm
there wasn't
overwhelmed with
Are you sure there
emotion.
wasn't a teleprompter involved there?
No, God, no.
Okay. I'm just checking. Just checking.
No, I don't think anyone who speaks with a teleprompter has the ability to be a proper leader, because they don't have passion.
All
As much as I disliked Franklin Delano Roosevelt because of the socialism he brought our nation, he was a magnificent speaker, and he was someone who could speak extemporaneous.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think it should be a requirement of all presidents that they cannot use a teleprompter.
I was going to say, Cruz he's a Harvard debater. He should be able to handle a speech.
Hey, tell you what,
Yeah.
Susan, I'm gonna let you go now so we can listen to 1 minute of his speech. Okay?
Oh, or play the whole thing. It
Well,
was
this
just
is not a
awesome.
speech. This is an ad.
Oh, this is an ad.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. So-
let's listen to this and
I
then we'll
have-
take our break.
I have a 30-second ad here in English and then a 30-second ad in Spanish.
Really?
So I put them back to back. You can hear this is what's going out there for Ted Cruz for
Que
president.
bueno.
It's a time for truth, a time to rise to the challenge, just as Americans have always done. I believe in America and her people, and I believe we can stand up and restore our promise. It's going to take a new generation of courageous conservatives to help make America great again. And I'm ready to stand with you to lead the fight.
All right, next is
La
the...
historia de Ted Cruz es como la historia de muchas familias estadounidenses. Hijo de un inmigrante cubano, Cruz fue el primer hispano en servir como asistente jurídico del presidente de la Corte Suprema y senador federal por el estado de Texas. Ted Cruz cree en Estados Unidos y en todo lo que representa: fe, libertad y oportunidad. Ahora él quiere asegurar que el sueño americano sea una realidad para las futuras generaciones. Ted Cruz para presidente.
There you go. Ted Cruz for president, in case you didn't get the end.
For
All right.
presidente.
El presidente, el jefe. All right, we're going to come back. Roy, if you'll hang on just a minute, we'll take a quick break and come right back. Hey, it's Talk Back, and it's Monday. 721-1290 is our telephone number, or el nombre de teléfono. I'm trying to get into the old Spanish lingo there per Mr. Cruz. All right, let's get Roy on the phone. Roy, first of all, thank you for holding, sir. You're up.
That's fine. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It was great to hear Ryan Zinke on the show this morning. So far he seems like a good representative to me. But I am more concerned about what's happening in my country than I am in the Middle East. The radical left in this country, which has pretty much taken over the Democratic Party and working on the Republican Party right now, is in a revolution to transform our country from a free republic, representative republic, into some kind of utopian tyranny. And they'll use any means whatsoever they need to accomplish this. The only obstacle that they see, one of the biggest obstacles to their transformation is our Constitution, and specifically our Bill of Rights. If they accomplish their goal, it means the confiscation of our private property and the loss of our rights is put forth in the Bill of Rights. And I am encouraging my representatives and all the listeners to speak up and stand up now and expose their plans, expose their legislation, and to vote against their laws to find out what the truth is about what they're trying to do and expose them.
Is there,
I'm sure the
is there
American
a piece of
people
legislation?
on the whole will reject what they're doing. And to me, that's the most important thing right now. We're being attacked from without by the radical Islam, and we're being attacked right now within from the radical left and radical Islamism. And I'm
well, Roy, hang on for a second, Roy, because John had a question for you.
I wanted to ask if you had a piece of legislation in particular that you want people to rally against, or just a general opposition to the legislature or the
direction, the current direction of the government.
Well, right now is the mandate in Obamacare. I mean, the mandate needs to go. It's unconscionable that young people, especially young families, would be forced to pay a bill every month until the day they die. That's almost as much as their house payment, forced to pay something that they don't want and they don't need, and put that burden upon them. And it's a burden upon all of us. It's something you can't get away from, like the liability you have to pay for your automobile. Well, you can choose not to ride an automobile, and you don't have to pay the liability insurance every month, or even the property tax. You don't have to pay property taxes. You can choose not to own property. But the mandate in Obamacare, that's one right there I can think of.
Well, I can tell you this, Roy, whether you rent or whether you buy, whether directly or indirectly, you are paying property taxes.
Well, indirect, yeah.
Because if you rent, the guy that owns the house is paying the property taxes. You're paying rent to him. He's raising your rent to the point where if your property tax goes up, your rent goes up. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, in most instances, this mandate, this mandate is going to go up, just like most taxes. It's probably going to go up and become even more insidious than it is now. So,
well, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Thanks, Roy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the call. Thank you, sir. All right.
There was a really interesting article by Sally Pipes in the New York Daily News about Obamacare today.
All right.
And I thought it was pretty good at kind of comparing and contrasting what was promised and what's actually played out. One of the things that's dangerous when you're talking about the Affordable Care Act is comparing your own personal situation when, obviously this is something that affects a lot of people. So you got to look at the aggregate numbers. Anyway, the title of her piece is Unhappy Birthday Obamacare, 5 years after its signing, the Affordable Care Act is failing to live up to its promise, which I'm sure goes over really well in New York. Anyway, here's the tenor of what she's saying.
All right.
Obamacare turns 5 years old today, but there's little to celebrate. When he signed his signature piece of legislation into law, President Obama guaranteed lower health care costs, universal coverage, and higher quality care. Americans wouldn't have to change their doctors if they didn't want to. 5 years later, the health law has failed to fulfill those grandiose promises. In the Obama administration, candidate Obama boasted in 2008, we will lower premiums by up to $2,500 for a typical family in a year. Not quite. A recent report from the National Bureau of Economic Research examined the non-group marketplace where families and individuals who don't get coverage through work shop for insurance. The report concluded that 2014 premiums were 24.4% higher. That's nearly 25% higher.
Wow.
than they would have been.
Hold on. So since they're saving $2,500, they're paying about 25% more.
That's right.
Okay.
Higher than they would have been without Obamacare. On Obamacare's third birthday, the White House reassured Americans the law would protect vulnerable patient populations from increases in drug prices, quote, preventing them from being charged more because of a pre-existing condition or getting fewer benefits like mental health services or prescription drugs, end quote, was a key purpose of the law, explained by the White House. Instead, drug costs for these patients have skyrocketed. The majority of health plans on the exchanges have shifted costs for expensive medications onto the patients. In 2015, more than 40% of all silver exchange plans, the most commonly purchased, are charging patients 30% or more of the total cost of their specialty drugs. Only 27% of silver plans did so just last year. So that's growth of more than 10% in just 1 year period.
Wow.
Of patients being charged more for their prescription drug plans. Part of the problem is that Obamacare has quashed competition. The president promised in 2013 that, quote, this law means more choice, more competition, lower costs for millions of Americans, end quote. But that hasn't turned out to be true either. According to the Heritage Foundation, the number of insurers selling to individual customers in the exchange this year is 21.5% less than the number on the market in 2013, the year before the law took effect. The Government Accountability Office reports that insurers have left the market in droves. In 2013, 1,232 carriers offered insurance coverage in the individual market. By 2015, that number had shrunk to 310.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
As competition in the exchanges declines, so does the quality. Just like Obama inadvertently predicted in 2013 when he said, quote, without competition, the price of insurance goes up and the quality goes down, end quote. Consumers who purchase insurance on the law's exchanges have fewer options than they had before Obamacare. McKinsey & Company noted that roughly 2/3 of the hospital networks available on the exchanges were either narrow or ultra-narrow. That means that these insurance plans refuse to partner with 30% or more of the area's hospitals. Other plans exclude more than 70%. Patients may have fewer doctors to pick from. More than 60% of doctors plan to retire earlier than anticipated by 2016 or sooner, according to Deloitte. Or Deloitte? I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Deloitte and Touche, yeah.
Thank you. The Physicians Foundation reported in the fall that nearly half of 20,000 doctors who responded to their survey, and my internet just went down.
Okay, well, there you go.
Responded as much, I guess. I'll finish that. You get the tenor of the piece, basically. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Or as we used to sing in high school, happy birthday, happy birthday. People crying everywhere, nothing but morose despair. Happy birthday. Yeah, we'll
That's
be right.
a real song?
Yeah. It's Monday. 721-1290 is our number. All three lines open, and it's talk back. A little bit of open phone business going on. But, John, you're able to restore the internet connection to continue this compelling story about happy birthday, Obamacare.
Right,
Woo-hoo!
yeah. Anyway, reading this piece out of the New York Daily News,
Okay.
I'll finish it up real quick since we've read so far.
All right.
The Obama administration claims the healthcare law has been a success because millions have gained insurance coverage, but that coverage is worthless if they can't find a doctor or a hospital that will see them. Furthermore, as many as 89% of the Americans who signed up for Obamacare when the exchanges opened in 2013 already had insurance. In other words, many exchange enrollees simply switched from one plan to another. And the law is set to cover far fewer people than initially promised. In March 2011, the Congressional Budget Office forecasted that 34 million uninsured would gain insurance thanks to Obamacare by 2021. But this month, the agency revised that estimate to 25 million, obtaining coverage by 2025. So a little bit lowered expectations. Covering those people isn't cheap. This month, the CBO estimates the law's 10-year cost will reach 1.2, what do you think, million?
Trillion.
Trillion, yes, that's right. $1.2 trillion, a far cry from the president's initial promise of 940
million.
No, 940 billion.
Billion, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
so.
Yeah.
He's
So
pretty close.
It's a mere $60 billion off.
What's a billion? What's a billion? Come on. So much for President Obama's 5-year-old declaration that he would not sign a plan that adds one dime to our deficits either
Right.
now or in the future.
Right.
Time and time again, Obama has been proven wrong about what his health law will accomplish. Quality hasn't improved. Costs continue to grow out of control. So far, at least, that's the legacy.
Okay, so I guess the question is, I mean, the much touted, highly publicized, staunchly defended Affordable Care Act is not affordable, and it's not working the way they wanted it to work. So my question to all of you, our wise and wonderful audience, and of course our co-host John King, what will work? I mean, if the plans that we had, if the system that we had before Obamacare took effect, just folks going out there and purchasing insurance, doing the best they could with, and there was a lot more companies offering a lot more policies. There were Cadillac plans, there were catastrophic plans, there were stuff where you could tailor your insurance to, for instance, if you were a single man, you didn't have to buy an insurance policy that covered pregnancy and child care, just because everybody had to do that. You could buy an insurance policy that was tailored basically to your own needs. You can't do that now. It is illegal. And so if something did happen to Obamacare, and let's just say there's a Republican president and more Republicans win in the Senate and the House, and they are able to chuck the whole thing. All right? Let's say that happens. Then what? Somebody's got to have a plan to help provide health insurance so the folks can have, because it is a problem. There has to be good access to health care. And or we're just going to throw it all to the wolves and say, guys, you're on your own. I would like to know what you think. 721-1290.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think that even if Republicans don't take over the presidency, I think that there's going to be some kind of fix to the Affordable Care Act.
Like
a number
what?
of them.
Like what?
Well, for example, the GOP, that's if the Republican president is elected, right? Right now, their push is to take the people that are on kind of the Medicare, Medicaid expansion sort of level of Affordable Care Act and push them into a separate program that wouldn't be the general pool that the rest of the country is on. Other things have been, of course, there's those on the left that want to see a single payer system. That's another option that's out there. We've heard from our friend Ovik over at the Manhattan Institute, his plan. There's other plans in this. I mean, so it's not like there's no one out there having better ideas than what you're dealing with now, or different ideas at least.
But see, the problem is it's been so long since I've heard one.
Well, that's because none of them are practical right now.
Yeah. Well, I
mean,
would
this
like
president and this Congress work so well together.
Yeah, exactly.
You almost want to play the music and watch them have a picnic together.
We're going to take a break, and Emmett, we'll get your call on here in a moment. We have two lines open, 721-1290. We are coming right back. Hey, it's Talk Back, and it's Monday. A little bit of rain going on out there in western Montana. John King's right over there. I'm Peter Christian, and we promised we'd get to the phones and talk to Emmett. Good morning, Emmett. What's up?
Oh, thanks. The interesting discussion, an interesting question. Well, the whole Obamacare was only for control. We know that. Even Rush Limbaugh, and I had to get on the internet to verify this, they're wanting, some company now wants through the health and regulations, or with the health department, some health departments want to implement a plant-based diet for everyone in America, and even obesity intervention teams at work to control what you eat, and even in the grocery stores, everything a plant-based diet.
I just see like a SWAT team busting through the door when I'm about to get my piece of bacon ready to rock.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's all about control. It's horrible what they're trying to implement. But
drop that bacon and back away.
Yep, that's pretty much what it's going to be, the food police. So it's horrifying. I think it would have been a lot easier if they had simply expanded Medicaid, not, have this, you will buy health insurance or pay a fine or go to jail, but simply expanded Medicaid for those who need it, and, allow people to stay on their parents' plan until they're age 26. Just those two are the only parts of Obamacare I like, and I am upset with the legislature for having, killed the Medicaid expansion. That's the only part of Obamacare that ever worked, but the rest of it is just...
didn't work very well since it never happened here, right?
Yeah, horrible. So that's my 2 cents on the whole thing. That's how we would fix Obamacare, fix the health system. But the whole thing was all about New World Order control. Right from the get-go, Rush was right, you know.
All right, Emmett. Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate the call.
Emmett
72112.
verified that on the internet, so it's
absolutely.
I'm sure the food police are coming.
Yeah, but there was something released. There was an interview on the Huffington Post.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's about 30 minutes. They talk about the NCA, the There's so many acronyms in the world.
The NCAA,
the NBA,
and the NCAA.
And the NCAA.
Okay.
Thank you very much. But I skipped over that. I got to this really interesting quote because President Obama was asked about progressivism.
Right.
And here's the cut in the response. And I think that you should, I have a really interesting stat to read right after you listen to this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
I wanted to go to a comment former advisor Dan Pfeiffer made. Recently he said, "There has never been a time when we've taken progressive action and regretted it." Have you become a more progressive president over time?
No. I think that what we are constantly doing is looking for opportunities to advance the agenda that I talked about back in 2007, 2008. I mean, remember in the first 2 years of my administration, we advanced more progressive legislation than anybody in 50 years. The Recovery Act, which everybody's forgotten about, which helped save the economy and prevent us going into the Great Depression, was the largest investment in green technology, the largest investment in education. We rebuilt roads and bridges. It was larger by a significant margin than the New Deal in real dollars, and put us on a pathway for clean energy development, put us on a pathway for electronic medical records, all kinds of stuff that people forgot about. The Affordable Care Act, which is working better than even I thought it was going to work. And we now have 16 million plus people who are benefiting directly, having health insurance, and we got another 130 million who don't have to worry about losing their coverage because of pre-existing conditions. Wow. Millions of young people who are on their parents' plan. Those are pretty progressive. What we have done, though, is consistently looked for additional opportunities to get stuff done. Wherever we see a possibility of increasing wages, creating more jobs, making sure that more people are able to access opportunity, we're going to seize it, and we're going to, wherever possible, try to reach out to Republicans and see if they can work with us. Where they're not willing to work with us, we will do it administratively, or we will convene the private sector. By hook or by crook, we're going to make sure that when I leave this office, that the country's more prosperous, more people have opportunity, kids have a better education, we're more competitive, climate change is being taken more seriously than it was, and we are actually trying to do something about it. Yeah, those are going to be the measures by which I look back and say whether I've been successful as president.
I like that. What meaning of crook did he have there? Did he mean like the "I'm not a crook" or like the grab a sheep by the neck sort of crook?
By hook or by crook? Well, I think that is the term. Hook or crook is a term used in the agricultural industry. It doesn't necessarily mean crook as in criminal.
No, it doesn't.
So, but anyway.
But it's a fun pun.
It certainly is. All right, shall we get Candy on the phone? Good morning, Candy. Go.
Yeah, I'd call that psychopathological lying, if anything else. But anyway, I have a remedy, a solution for the health care. Since there are 300, John, could you help me with that number into the trillions that you quoted earlier that Obamacare was going to cost?
Oh, that it has, or its estimated 10-year cost is $1.2 trillion.
Okay, so if you take $350 million right now, today, and buy a health care policy for all $350 million, and do one of those health savings accounts, then as people leave the population through death or whatever, you just roll those health care accounts into the next baby born name. And if you do that, then you're getting interest, and you can be sick as you want, and it keeps rolling over. You just go out and spend $350 million instead of the trillion.
Hey, thanks for your call, Candy.
Bye.
Thanks. Appreciate the call. All right, we're up against the break. 721-1290. We have a Facebook comment.
Lots of Facebook comments.
Okay, tell you what, we'll get to the Facebook comments right after this break. Pa-pa. All right, 721-1290 is the number. All three lines are open, but we do have some Facebook comments. John King.
Sure. Sue says, did Zinke talk about why he wants to defund Amtrak? Doesn't seem too smart to me. We need more trains and high-speed bullet trains like they have in Japan and Europe. Imagine having better transportation options. Yeah, let's imagine that. That would be a pretty big push on the ecological system we have in the United States. We're so rural and so diverse to build giant train lines from place to place that are going to get outdated when populations shift as they do over time. Doesn't seem like a good idea to me in a giant landmass like America, as opposed to something like Japan, where you know where people are going to be living in the future. Yeah, I'm not a big fan personally of Amtrak.
Well, if you remember when the legislature looked at upgrading the various tracks in Montana for passenger rail, see the specs and the requirements for passenger rail as opposed to freight are very different, because if you're carrying people as opposed to grain or whatever, the specs are still high, but they're much higher when you have to carry people. And so in order to, for instance, from what I understand, I could be wrong, to update the tracks between Hamilton and Missoula to run a commuter train would have cost millions of dollars to upgrade that track. And that's what, 60 miles?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean,
it's much more ecologically sensitive to just build zip lines everywhere. But the problem is the same with zip lines as it is with Amtrak. No one rides the thing. They are much cheaper, I understand, though.
Well, it's awfully hard to commute, and it's awfully hard to be on Wi-Fi when you got both hands on the zip line. Unless they have the zip line with a seat, like a chairlift.
Right. Everybody wants these systems that they have in these tight cities where you have dense populations.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense out here. Yeah. Why doesn't he want Amtrak? Because he doesn't want Montanans to be paying for something Montanans will almost never use.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, next, let's go to Claire. Claire says, when your machine comes back up, which it did not too long ago, she has linked some other articles about rural hospitals and the effect of the Affordable Care Act. And I also posted that article that I read from on our Facebook page.
Right.
Sue responded by saying, I love my new healthcare insurance through the ACA. It costs less, I get more service, and my prescriptions are less.
Well, good for you.
I also kept my dental plan and still pay less than I was paying. Matt recommended medical savings accounts, just like Candy did. Anyway, so there's a bunch there. How much time do we have?
We have 4 minutes.
Let's play this cut, since we're talking about Ted Cruz a little bit today.
Okay.
He announced he's running for president.
Right.
We already have Susan cheering him on. She's a big fan. One of the people not a big fan said some, I think, interesting things, which is my way of saying I don't want to give my opinion on what I think about it yet. But do you have Paul Begala's?
I got it right here.
Okay, go ahead and play that.
It's only 43 seconds. So here we go. This is Cruz is an anti-intellectual, so says Mr. Begala.
Well, but the general, I think any of these Republicans, there's so many of them, and frankly, there's a lot of talent in their field. So I think they're mostly worried right now about winning the primary, and I think Kevin here is exactly right. Think about this. My one-liner, my thumbnail sketch of Ted Cruz is this. He has Barack Obama's education and Sarah Palin's politics. So he goes on a late-night show and pretends that climate science is not real, a very anti-science, anti-intellectual position. But he's got the pedigree of a champion debater at Princeton and a top law student at Harvard. But he will go out there, and there is a Republican base out there that does not believe in climate science. They don't believe in biological evolution or gravity or photosynthesis, electromagnetism. He will speak to the anti-intellectuals with an intellectual pedigree. I think it'd be very powerful.
Now, all those Republicans that don't believe in gravity out there, please just give us a call. We'd like to hear your argument as to why you don't believe in gravity or photosynthesis.
I do believe in anti-gravity boots. I have a pair.
Oh my gosh, I think this guy's so full of hot air, he could probably qualify for anti-gravity.
Well, please remember that Paul Begala was a major player in the Clinton administration. Okay, big-time Democrat. So what's he going to say? But Mr. Cruz is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's not going to say that.
No. But I think it's important to make a distinction real quick, just so everybody out there.
I almost said Tom Cruise.
Liberals and conservatives. And I'll be honest, frankly, I'm not a big Ted Cruz guy. I don't think he has a shot. But you can like him if you want. That's your deal. The thing that I wanted to draw a distinction with, just because you oppose some of the solutions to correct climate change doesn't mean you don't believe the climate changes.
I believe the climate is changing.
Every single person with a sane brain thinks the climate changes. The reasons that we disagree are the causes and the solutions. And most of the time, when these leftists say that you don't believe in climate science, it's when you don't buy into their solutions to fix it.
One of the stories that we had in our news queue this morning is your friend and mine, Michael Gu, who graduated from Valley Christian Schools, a wildland firefighter. His 6-year-old boy, Noah, put together, because his mom, the former Amy Larson, is a big-time wildlife photographer, got Noah involved in, they spent tons of time up in Glacier Park, okay? So the White House put out an invitation to students. It's what's called the White House Student Film Festival. And at the age of 5, little Noah Gu went out with his mom and dad and started, skiing around. For instance, you can see the video on our website, the story that I posted. Here's little Noah at age 5 skiing down a very crusty, icy slope at 9,000 feet in Glacier National Park in February. And he stops when he hits some brush sticking up and says, "It's February, it's Glacier Park, I'm at 9,000 feet. You're trying to tell me that the climate hasn't changed?" And so it's a 5-year-old. And so he does 3 minutes, and it's really well put together. And some of it's very cute. He's 5. He's got this, he's missing a couple of teeth. He's as cute as he can be. And he went to the White House and is a finalist for the award of the best student film on climate change. So there you go. And I would encourage you to go to our website at newstalkkgvo.com and just watch the film. It is as cute as can be. You may not agree with the stance or what the young man says, but you have to admire the fact that here's a little boy and his folks who are from Montana and making Montana look really good, in my opinion. So there you go. I have spoken.
So let it be written.
So let it be done. Roll well and live, number 41. All right. What's coming up on tomorrow's fabulous radio show?
Oh, I don't even know.
Well, by the way, we're going to try to get Noah on.
Yeah.
He's 6, and I think he'd be fun on the air. So
yeah, 6-year-olds are great.
Absolutely.
And they always make me clean up after them. We might have the Montana Budget and Policy, someone from there.
Great.
On to talk about the legislature and how things are going as far as they see it.
Have a great day, and don't get wet, everybody. Stay out of the rain.